How do you think you've made a cameo in the title this time? Ah, yes, because you believe PIP is supposed to be... Okay. Haha, good joke. This is one of the requests for today. Then the Andrew Callahan interview. All the Smash scene shit. Turkey Tom's allegations. And a pack watch on Annoying Gay Retards, which itself is 2 hours and 44 minutes. So there's no way that's getting covered before 4 p.m. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. How much do I hate myself today? Do I hate myself enough to suffer through an annoying Pillboy video?
You're under arrest.
They'll end up getting used as material for the next video after the next video after the next video? He hasn't released one yet. So the answer there is not right now. So it's just one for now. Is there anything that I'm missing that has been suggested to me that somebody hasn't told me about? Anything at all? The Microsoft result shit. The ethics of Lilo and Stitch and whether or not Stitch sex exists. The video about why pink is evil. Some ordinary gamers clinging for relevance. AI, CGI shit. Kathleen Kennedy updates. Amelia shit. Killzone franchise gun review from a firearms expert. So nothing. At least I'm currently looking at. Double checking through post looks. Nope, nothing. Okay. Hello, Tusky. Walked to Duncan. Did I see the Reddit mod video? There are several Reddit mod videos. Which one in specific am I supposed to be looking at? Because I didn't see anything interesting in the Reddit mod video, which is why I didn't have it pulled up, and nobody suggested anything about it. Certainly not in the server. See here, Reddit mod video, live stream fail. Reddit mod got removed and made a wild video. Penguin 0. Message to CEO of Reddit's Bez from our live stream fair formal top mod. Reddit mod has something to say. I guess we'll go with Charlie's version of the situation. Because the problem here is that there's various other additional videos, and nobody put them together into context. Everybody's just clipping from a clip. So I have to assume that Charlie at least does his due diligence and puts it all together. So, let's go from there. My save file is here. Buyalong.com. That will come after this one. This was requested earlier. This one goes first.
Now then.
Oh, I gotta deal with the mouth of it. Old one. It's technically in the way. Do a little audio test.
Democracy is a rule by the people. But the people
are retarded.
Have you argued with somebody in a public setting and the other person says some thought-terminating drivel? A dunk, if you will? And everybody loved it. The crowd went wild. It shut down the conversation with some snide stand-up routine.
Okay. Audio's good. This video comes from Shredded Nerd. 125k 4 days ago, 29k views. Sloculism.
Democracy is a rule by the people. But the people...
But the people are retarded.
Have you argued with somebody in a public setting and the other person says some thought-terminating drivel? A dunk, if you will? And everybody loved it. The crowd went wild. It shut down the conversation with some snide stand-up routine. A gotcha, if you will. This is actually a dolphin fetus, chud. And who set that system up? And the crowd fucking loves it. Nastiest read ever, they might say. There are so many examples of appealing to the crowd in the stupidest way imaginable. There are many analogous situations, things that can be compared. It can happen in school and work and obviously in politics. When you're in a group setting and someone just says something thought-terminating and stupid that it shuts down the discussion. Like, this guy thinks the beans need to take turns. It's hard to argue against people who have the crowd on their side. The issue obviously arises when you talk to the average person. They are clueless. The best argument against democracy is a 5-minute conversation with the average voter. It's easy to hate the rich, but do you have the courage to hate the poor? If you could appeal to people's base, uninformed assumptions, you win. To argue against those, you're fighting an uphill battle because there is so much crap to cut through. All the person defending the popular position has to do is to shut down thought. The underdog has to open up people to critical thinking. This is a genre I've started to call slopulism. It's one of art, really, one which appeals to popular assumptions, populist slop. When Florida signed a law to ban lab-grown meat, that was slopulism. Nobody's forcing you to eat lab-grown meat, and we have no evidence yet of any negative side effects of it. It's just banning a product because of knee-jerk reactions. You just think vaguely you wouldn't like how the world would look if that was a thing, but you can't explain why. You can say you're helping farmers or whatever, or fighting against big GMO. Now, I don't like the idea of lab-grown meat being forced on us, and I am slightly cautious about it. I won't be eating it straight away, but there is no good argument for why it shouldn't be allowed to exist. This is just blatant appeal to the stupidest part of your voter base. You see slopulism in music, actually. Land of Confusion by Genesis is a great example. I must have dreamed 1,000 dreams, been haunted by 1,000,000 screams, but I can hear the marching feet, they're moving into the street. The lyrics mean nothing, it's just incredibly vague and slightly elusive to some far-off struggle in the world, not any specific struggle, just a war or a protest or something. Now, did you read the news today? They say that danger's gone away, but I can see the fire still alight, burning into the night. Now, I love Genesis. Real Genesis, but this song sucks so much. It's just a terrible song. Blood on the Rooftops is a far better song, and far more honest from Phil Collins. It's just too much for me. This guy just does not give a shit whatsoever about what's happening in the world. This song is literally about how he doesn't watch the news because it's too negative. And he doesn't want to get bogged down by negative talk and current events. But he saw that there was too much clout to be had in political theatre, in appearing edgy, taking a stand. That was the boomers invented that with Vietnam. Even though he doesn't provide any commentary on anything, he takes no sides. In the music video, he does some biting and controversial commentary on beloved figures like Benito Mussolini and Muammar Gaddafi. It uses the spitting image Reagan puppet as well, just as a character more than anything, not even really a critique. This is the musical equivalent of those thought-terminating cliches, of those debate stunners. It's just an appeal to the lowest common denominator. It has the us versus them, the appeal of disempowerment, and ultimately it's just feeding on people's default programming. Like, Phil Collins doesn't believe in anything, man. Slopulism is perhaps epitomized by the Disturbed cover of this song.
I'm pretty sure you could have gotten to the point about slopulism without going on a 4-minute tirade that didn't go in a direction of explaining the reason why I'm being asked to watch this video. Someone's gonna get a mean talking to later.
The stupid fucking music video where the people who represent us, the goy cattle masses, rise up against the dollar Nazis who build jets and start wars for oil and shit. Oh Superman, where are you now when everything's gone wrong somehow? Superheroes as well are something I'll definitely closely associate with slopulism. They're a bright, simplistic representation of mob justice. And every superhero movie is vaguely and very cowardly political. That's cowardly with an E. Some reference so you can get clout from the slop-eating masses without actually taking any risk to your brand. It's like when people said Black Panther, this movie that looked like a PS2 cutscene, was politically important as a kid.
Everybody keeps using that criticism about Black Panther, and while apt, nobody uses any reference point other than PlayStation 2 movie. It's a lot worse than the PlayStation 2 movie. It's a fucking film with without finished VFX. It's fucking Golfer's Tales. It's worse than a PS2 game. It's a Christian chick tract. Except replace Christianity with black culture.
I was scared by the visuals as an adult. It's the lyrics.
They later did the same by criticizing the very controversial and publicly beloved target, which is megachurches.
What's wrong with the world, mama?
Where is the Love by the Black Eyed Peas is another great example. Like Land of Confusion, it appeals to simplistic emotions, in this case, love.
They are, well, technically were, but they are a pop band. Before they replaced their lead singer with Fergie, they were a pop band that wrote soul music in the design of Music Soul Child and various other black culture groups. They were looking for something that was affable, that basically could be used as a theme, because they were quite literally a group designed to put out pop culture slop. I suppose this should be in the design of what you're going to, but you're kind of losing me here, because the problem here is that you have to beat over the energy of will.i.am just being a slut for money and fame and attention, versus some of their actual tracks that have some level of meaning to them. But they're rendered meaningless because to a fucking loser listening to a song that comes up on the radio, being pushed on a media channel like My Town Q1073, that they're able to get the connection of that, because it's the exact same equivalent of Kendrick Lamar and somebody saying, "Hey Drake."
And hate, the love, where is it?
What's wrong with the world, mama?
There's not much love to go around. This is easily interpretable by a mass consumer audience, but it says nothing about our world, well, a bit at least, referencing contemporary issues like the war on terror. It says the real terrorists are the CIA, the KKK, and different gangs. The KKK and gangs are not terrorists. Just definitionally, they don't count, but also they're not that big of a deal. These groups are actually extremely small and localized and don't really affect the whole country, and they're mostly blown up by the media, which again is why they're so popular among the common man, among the television consuming normie. Ultimately, things like that, like gang warfare, I mean, not to say they aren't an issue. They're not terrorism, they're not an attack on the country, and it's something that doesn't represent an issue that affects the vast majority of people, like in the United States. Yeah, these groups appear in media so much and are vastly disliked, so we'll call them terrorists, sure. And the CIA thing is also just an appeal to common conspiracies. Not that the CIA hasn't done some terrible things that should be acknowledged. More so that's just an easy target to kind of mention and then drop. Like, it's just kind of easy point scoring. I love lines like this. Ongoing suffering as the youth die young. How on earth would the youth die old? They're youth. It's just vaguely referencing some tragedy somewhere with little context. It's just basic stuff that's meant to be inspirational, but it's more of a load of hot air. It's so perfect.
Congratulations, you have finally arrived at what it sounds like to write completely affable lyrics. This is not new. Not impressed.
Perfectly engineered for the normie specimen. What's wrong with the world? It's about love. Where's the love? And hate. Hate makes us not appreciate. Easily interpretable. What's wrong with the world, mama? You know what? Everyone's got a mama, so they understand that. It's a desperate plea, an emotional plea from the bottom of your heart. That's what it feels like. And this one may be controversial.
No, it is not. It's an offhanded comment from a child to a parent. Because hear, listen, hear, and listen. Then listen, don't hear, listen. What's wrong with the world, mama? Everybody is somebody's child. Listen, don't hear, listen. Everybody is somebody's child. What's wrong with the world, mama? Where's the love? Why are people so antagonistic? Why are they so negative? Why are there people who lie and do things for money? Why are people who lie and do things for tribalism? Listen. Don't hear, listen. The lyric isn't a dying plea. It is an open conversation. But y'all don't want to hear me, you just want to dance. Listen. Don't hear, listen.
To talk about. For the king of pop, they don't care about us. I mean, come on. It's some basic us versus them framing. People would call him performative for this nowadays. Yeah, because honestly, he was a multi-millionaire. He'd be a billionaire if he was still alive. Talking about how they, and that can be whoever you want them to be.
He was very clear about it being the fucking corporations. Michael Jackson hated fucking corporations. Are you serious? The answer is, I haven't decided. Hello, Bloodia. Because you have a Coomer brain. That's the short answer, Bloodia.
To be. Don't care about us, presumably the common man, up
Yes! Because Michael Jackson was a man's man. He's a people's man.
to and including multi-millionaires who have literally been famous for as long as they can remember. And
Well, you see, having money and being famous does not disclude you from caring about your common man. And if there was something that Michael Jackson loved, it was other people and his fans. Hated niggas being lazy when it came to the dancing, but loved niggas and loved his fans.
it's just not a great song. It's one of his weak.
I mean, it's really not. The backstory behind how They Don't Really Care About Us was made is a case example of exactly why he made the song. The favela in which he is recording that from was a favela that was privately owned by a governor that was controlling the optics of the local region in where he was filming it. He was being barred from recording it as a music video in most of the places in the country which he was trying to record it from. And then, when the opportunity presented itself, he went to this place that was controlled by this particular individual, got permission from that individual, and filmed the fucking video. The fucking suits hated Michael for making this video because it was an example of that pesky little thing called geopolitical reasoning and understanding. He was doing something that inherently was antagonistic to what people would want for branding. All one would have to do to really address whether or not this was a concern that was serious or not is the simplest basic breakdown that someone would arrive at if they were to concern themselves with the content, which is, do people like Michael have the ability to write music that resonates because it actually has a message inside the music while still being good music? And the answer is he succeeded at that. Of course it does. That's why the example exists and why I know the knowledge. Because that information was free and public and accessible. Is this it? Is this what it feels like when you're watching a video and it's like, nigga, I know more about the subject topic than the content creator who's using it in the argument? This is a fucking disgusting feeling. My teeth are itching. To assert that Michael Jackson, well known for doing things for his fans, doesn't like his fans, and thus would make a supposed feel-good empty message, when if you really wanted a good example of that, nigga, why would you use They Don't Really Care About Us? Black and white is right fucking there! And yet even in that music video too, and that lyric too, has a message. You don't understand Michael Jackson, bro. I don't know what the fuck to tell you.
Weaker ones. He mentions skinhead, something, something, hate, and the lyrics aren't even a
Skinhead, deadhead, everyone, gone bad. All I want to say is that they don't really care about us. A neo-Nazi, a person who is stuck under political regime control, people who are terrified of the social status quota, They don't really care about you, little man, just as much as they don't care about him or her or him, because we're a dollar amount and a number in a ledger. I think that makes pretty much concurrent sense, my nigga. I don't know what to tell you, other than, I don't know, maybe you're dumb, but I don't know what to tell you.
Consistent narrative, kind of just like random points mushed together. Slightly more legible than like a Yes song lyrically. Spicy, of course, because he names the Jews. I mean, it was the 90s, right? We had Mel Gibson, anti-Semitism.
Yeah, the Jews, anti-Semitism. Why would he ever bring up the lyric skinhead in the content? Oh!
Goes in and out of fashion. And yeah, when you're Michael Jackson, there's a lot more things you can get away with. Honestly, he was just covering his bases, trying to hit every possible us versus them comparison. And the music video was filmed in Brazil. It all has the energy of a Coca-Cola commercial. Diversity, soccer, inspirational kids from the favelas. And the king of pop was so legendary that the Brazilian mafia stopped fighting for a day for him to film. They presumably...
I wonder, would that be something that is directly tied into the content? That, oh my god, this man is such a respected fucking musician. That actual gang said, let the nigga dance. I'm not even doing it on purpose. This person is finding like all the perfect ways to piss me off.
Went back to killing each other right after. Which goes to show, slopulism sells an easy solution to social issues. I guess that's just populism.
No, sopulism, if you're going by the example of attempting to use it as a way of conveying easy messages that are simple that are easy to digest and easy to use, but are ultimately apt of no proper response, is actually a case example of trough material. Piggies eating out of a trough like slop shit.
Populism is just the slop version of it. The mass consumer market. Political solutions are always hard and easy answers do not work. I always think of those stupid charity singles that like Paul McCartney and Phil Collins have made. Do they know it's Christmas at all? Let's try it. It's like, you know, you give money to clean your conscience, and it's not bad to donate, but I feel like if you're that interested, if you're that genuinely interested in a video, and it wasn't just a fashion, it usually takes far more than money to actually change things. These are quite complex issues. And that's not to say giving money does nothing. It is necessary and good, but most influential people want a finger in every pie, whatever the current thing is. Whereas actual effective change comes from people dedicating their life to maybe one issue. And it all comes one issue at a time. People, I feel like if
not people dedicating their life, people dedicating their time and attention to a focused situation and not stopping until the situation is completed. Certainly you can have a person say, my entire life's goal is to see this completed, but you don't even need to create a legacy and a dynasty like that. It just requires you to have people that have the power to direct their attention to a problem. But it brings up the message in a point that is actually discussed by Bass FCZ, Nigga the channel. And something he and I discussed literally on one of these earlier. We didn't even discuss it on an actual yappin'. It was a conversation before the yappin' that other people sat in on. His newest video talks about the fact that there is a problem that happens in the minds of some people, sometimes women. And the example that he chooses to use was June, right after the assassination of Carly Kirk. And it was that he was showing that one of the things that was faulty in June's logic is that June had to have a child in order for her to then realize that she wanted to have the world to be safe. Now, remember what I said, right? Listen, don't hear, listen. Everybody's somebody's child. I got that from his content. Something I already understood myself, but I'm using as a point. If everybody is somebody's child, your mother, your father, your siblings, yourself, and then your partner, your friends, your cousins, other connected and distant immediate blood relatives and extended family, everybody is somebody's child. Therefore, you should already want the world to be safe. You should already want things to come without having to have war and famine and pestilence and violence. But these things still happen regardless, as they are a semi-aquatic factor of history. Humans, being chaotic creatures, are going to implore things upon each other, and they're going to want to have these things for different reasons. If what you want is to solve a problem in the world, you need people who are willing to put the time in to actually address the problem that most people have with this material physical instinct. Namely, if you want to solve world hunger, you're not going to do it by doing sloganeering. That would be slopulism, by the definition of the content. What isn't slopulism is stop killing games. Why? Material difference. One is what you want to do is advice given from content creator, versus here's the campaign, here's what you need to do, here's the call to action, do exactly this, unify your voices together. Praxis. The difference between slopulism and actual meaningful on-ground activism and acts of work and service is praxis. Follow through. Now, in order to understand that, you have to ask the question of exactly why do people like doing sloganeering? And the answer is because it's easy. X says trans rights. Did you have to actually do anything? Did you have to actually prove that the character or the person in question in the position of X actually does support trans rights? No. You just say it. And it sounds completely fine because, you don't like trans rights? What are you, a bigot? Moral implication from immediately saying it. Here's another one. Explain to me what's wrong with this video game, and what does it have to do with feminism in gaming? How is the industry ruined because of women in gaming? You don't have to prove anything. You just give an imposition, and then you act like you're a big bad person. Meanwhile, the industry is still rotting. Problems still happen. Conversations don't get had. Because your buzzer beater thought-terminating cliche supposedly won the argument, and they ate, and yet they're still losing market capital at a rate of 10% a share every second on the second. I named 50 games out of a year in a fiscal year where we released 500. What's a bigger number? 90% and 10%. By naming 10% of a fiscal year's release, this proves that the industry isn't dying. Meanwhile, you've got people on the timeline like Thomas Mahler demonstrating case example of why putting your money where your mouth is matters. Why? I'll show you. Because I doubt some of you even have Thomas Mahler in your follows. You've got the gaming industry and a person in it who's making a video game, explaining the reason why the mouthfeel behind image reaction content based on the original netcode that currently is in the majority of video games is incapable of delivering meaningful combat that people respond to. Similar to, quote, parry slop, because they ultimately are using an archaic system based on the design of yesteryear, and that you have to take risks in order to make the next technological leap forward. He's making a video game called No Rest for the Wicked. He was literally beating ass and putting belt to ass on the timeline, completely filtering the former head of Diablo 3 and Diablo 4 and Diablo Immortal that ruined the genre and the franchise for Blizzard when they were there at the company in their tenure, that is now attached to an NFT bundle. He's putting his chest and his foot and his badussi in the entire argument about gaming. That's how you see business handled. That's how the work gets done. If it has to be one person's fucking anchor that they carry, that's one thing. But if you can get everybody together to do the thing together, collectively, then it's another. And it then becomes demonstrative of not a single action that one guy in his basement's doing, but everybody doing communally as a form of call to action. Now, the point that Bass was making in his content was look at a person like that of Shu and ask yourself, why is it we don't necessarily consider women to be leaders? Or in his particular example, specifically quoting his thumbnail, why women can't be leaders. It's a very caustic opinion to have. It's his opinion, not my opinion. But I can agree with the reason why he presented the opinion and the argument that he did. If the reason why matriarchies are bloody is because there are women that will literally live like fucking Bessa Medarda, they'll conquer and pillage and rape and murder, and then they'll have a child and they say, now the world should be safe for my little bouncy baby girl, baby boy. That kind of behavior speaks to the Dark Tetrad, if not the Dark Triad, if not inherently selfish opinions and ideals. Because if you're not capable of understanding that the world is full of people that want it to be safe, and that it didn't have to have a child in order to come to this conclusion, you didn't need to spawn to be able to gain the moral quandary of, wow, I can't believe that other people have parents and families. It's not just me in here. I should be thinking about more than myself. Then the presupposition of his opinion is that if you have to spawn in order to finally have compassion, you can't be a leader. Because leadership is not about what other people do for you. It's about what you do for other people. It's not about how people give you resources so that you can pull to the front, but about you guiding them in a direction and giving them the wisdom to be able to put them on the right path towards a collective goal. Because it's all relative to where you're going to. Listen! Hear, but don't listen. Listen, but don't hear. If you can't be able to explain why something is slopulism, and you're creating sloganeering that itself is pseudo-macro sloganeering, you're going to lose people, period. I could easily just give answer, call, response, and then be done with it. But that doesn't give you the actual ideas of what the fuck's happening. At the same time, I can do the same shit that I do up before. I could ask you questions. And then I could start clapping my hands, clapping and making like a seal, saying, quick, quick, catch it, quick, quick. Why do I do that? Just because I want you to notice something. An observant person wouldn't need me to say that. You would have just saw it. It would have clicked. Hence, being good at single player Carl / Ann J. Longbone. Whenever I'm doing something with her. Or any other person who's along for the ride. Or if I'm along for the ride. The entire nexus point behind slop content is that people don't actually have their own opinion. They're getting their opinion from somebody else, but they can't extrapolate on it because it's not their opinion. They're trying to summarize an opinion, and they're speaking to something that the masses are talking about. And much like people interrupting me like they were during that debate saying, well, what's your opinion? I'm telling you what the masses think, based on the analysis that we've actually done of the material. And then I'm telling you what I think, based on my own thoughts and my experiences and my consumptions. Because all of life is a series of your collective experiences being used as reference points. In the exact same viewpoint of you shouldn't have to have a child to have compassion for the world, there's also the adage of I shouldn't have to experience a lesson for myself in order to gain the wisdom about a lesson. Where does that come from? The wisdom of the elders. The people who were already leaders who had to pass the baton to the next generation. Intelligently, if the divine male and divine female energy speaks to the uneducated energy of the adolescent to then groom them, not that kind of grooming, for leadership, Should a person have to do crack to learn that crack is bad and it will do damage to your body? No. Why? Because you listened and paid attention. You saw and you learned. You heard. You investigated. You were getting information. And you said, okay, never do crack. If you come from the viewpoint of claiming slopulism is when thought-terminating cliche and sometimes feel-good music or content that's meant to be a motivator rather than a message, rather than the message of something that is easily addressed across all walks of life, you're going to read everything surface level, as deep as a 12-inch frying pan.
If you are on top of every single social issue, you're actually on top of none of them. You're just following a trend. I'm definitely a big respecter of single issue voters because you know they're not just following a hobby horse. Some people might be inclined to say, "This is America," or basically anything by Kendrick Lamar, and while those songs are definitely full of nothing political statements and vague references, they don't...
No, they're full of multiple references to multiple things. You're doing it again. Kendrick Lamar, one of the best lyricists of our age, but also one of the most overinflated lyricists of our age, being quoted by dumb people who don't actually understand rap or culture, actively reaching for a moment because they want to jump onto a trend, because they in fact are following the Hey Drake hobby horse, because they said, you know what, I don't actually like Audrey Drake. I really don't like him. Aubrey Graham, this guy who just does stuff, he's not a real rapper. And then immediately he has to say, hey, I'm not your fucking political leader. I'm doing music. I'm out here trying to make money for me, my wife, and my kids. You all want to hear me. You just want to dance.
Have the same appeal to football watching, pot smoking normies. Maybe they count as black slopulism. And you see it in film as well. Obviously fucking V for Vendetta, bro. It's just some cartoonish dystopia. And it wasn't even very accurate regarding the type of dystopia Britain has ended up becoming. And it became synonymous with the terrifying hackers Anonymous. The Guy Fawkes mask being represented by this anti-government figure. That's really all they had in common with Guy Fawkes politically. Anti-government can mean a hell of a lot of things. People in 2007 were so scared of Anonymous, dude. They were thinking they were going to overturn the whole system. The system is a core element of slopulism. The system, the man, the state. Instead, they just make some LARP videos and do nothing. Only middle-aged boomers still think Anonymous is tough. And now it's just random people using the name for boring TDS disposable crap. Not even hacking. Does anybody remember the Humanity Party? Dude.
Yes. Remember this? Remember that? Remember this? Your video is becoming slop in and of itself trying to describe and discuss the topic, which is boring me. Please get somewhere.
Dude, I'm gonna change the world, man. The Joker is the obvious choice for number one slopulous character. He's about chaos and fighting the status quo. Does he even care about money? No. It's about sending a message to the rich and powerful. What message, you might ask? Well, I'm the Joker, baby. It's the message that the big guys can't push us around anymore. That's not...
No, it is not. It is that everybody is one bad day away from becoming somebody's fucking villain. And that from a frame of reference, it's very funny to be in the crowd when it happens, because sometimes half of the point of chaos is that you want to be an agent of chaos and an agent of change, but you have to be in the room when it happens. And how do you get in a room other than by convincing a bunch of people that there's a reason? Because yes, actually, it is the fact that everybody's one day away from becoming the bad guy. Because some people have a very short patience and a very short filter for bullshit. Falling Down did the exact same thing. But no, we're going to the Joker because it's the Joker. I recognize them. Hey, you remember this popular YouTube meme that somebody made? I'm the Joker, baby. I'm the Joker, baby.
Not to say the Joker can't be entertaining. It's mostly about the performance and writing. It's not like there's really any compelling beliefs to latch onto. It's not like the Joker has a plan for the world. Maybe something vague about being hard done by society. Come to think of it, a lot of Batman villains represent populism, or popular kind of underground figures. It's mob bosses, strongmen fighting against the elite, people who were abused by society and pushed to the margins, who trying to take back power, and the hero of the story is a vigilante billionaire who circumvents the law and uses his money to arrest criminals. Maybe that's what makes Batman compelling. It's appealing to a different part of people's psyche than most heroes. The aesthetics of Jokerism are instantly recognizable, very distinct, something very easy to latch onto, despite being largely meaningless. It has a bit of the same energy as Fight Club, which also adds in a dose of the heckin' toxic masculinity.
A story about men being detached from themselves, from a world that they were promised that they'd be a part of. The literal definition of what all people in my generation have had to deal with. That we were being groomed as the all-singing, all-dancing fools of a generation. That were promised a world that would never came to fruition because it was a world that was already dead and gone by the time we attempted to reach it. Something that I have directly referenced in fucking thumbnails I have made on the channel as I went through a period of limerence, as I almost do every single year during the last fiscal quarter of the year. A message that asks the person facing his life on the edge about what he's going to fucking do about that. And what he ends up doing is he creates a fucking terrorist organization to wipe out the financial debt of the world so that they don't have the ability to use debt and insurance and finance and consumption to control you. Yes, slopulism. That's definitely a case example of slopulism. That's definitely what slopulism is. Slopulism is when, wake up, you're letting yourself die and rot away. Do something now or you'll hate yourself forever. Wake up. Again, I'm not even doing it on purpose. I feel like if I am able to derive and get more content from the video that you're talking about and the content you're consuming, then it means that there's inherently something either you did on purpose or didn't do on purpose that is provoking conversation about the shit that is obviously being left out of the margins. And that's a problem. Because the problem with slop is that slop is the derived lowest common denominator that tries to leave things out of the margin. Because nah, that's not as effective. It's not as immediately grasped. It's not the thing that people recognize. The devil's in the details. That's why you should talk about them.
I like how Fight Club really solidified this idea of destroying the financial system. Like Zeet's about how hackers could hack the credit card companies and erase everyone's credit score. All that would happen is that no more loans would be given out and our economy would collapse. Eventually it would recover and they'd just rebuild the credit system, which would end up with the exact same outcome. The people in debt would find themselves in debt again because the credit system emerged because of actual demand for it. People wanted access to loans. All this kind of political film and music has created this idea that they are somehow our society's political authority. Audiences expect every artist to take a stand, even if they're uninformed morons. Maybe musicians don't know enough about issues. I never got why some politically obsessed folks want everybody to have an opinion on things. Shouldn't you just want only
Because you have to have influence, and having influence gives you the ability to direct attention, because blah 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 blah. However, I've technically pause-handed you. Finish your thought.
informed people talking about it, and the people who are clueless maybe educate themselves before they talk about it? And what actual politics are slopulist? Well, it's the lowest common denominator policies that do not work, that keep getting tried and repealed over and over. It's the knee-jerk stuff like banning lab-grown meat. And this part
Or communism?
of the video where I discuss the actual policies is going to be controversial because of course these policies are popular, like rent control for example. Why does this keep getting attempted and repealed everywhere around the world? Because it does not work. It just fucks with the housing supply.
Because people are greedy and they want to have things that they don't deserve to have. No, you can't have a rent-controlled mansion and pay only $90 fucking on the market, because then you're inflating the cost of the marketplace for everybody else. rent controllers and boomers that refuse to allow people to have goods in society because you shouldn't spend as much on coffee, falls down to the market etiquette of what they feel is unrealized capital gains they want to collect on. However, the problem here still is derived from the issue. Why is it that people want to have people involved in stuff? The short answer is because influence. The long answer is because influence allows you to be the one that does the explaining, that tells people why you should listen to them and why they should listen to you, and vice versa. Doing this with any level of serious regard allows you to be able to establish this. Oh, but get my ass beat. They beat my ass, y'all. And he's gone. Turn one! Turn one! Turn one! Lightweight, no reaction. It allows people to be the ones that insert themselves in the position of the soothsayer. Therefore, you no longer actually have the ability of addressing it. Oh, this person said the smart thing first. That means that they know what they're talking about. Despite the fact that 40 seconds earlier, they were acting like the concept that politics isn't at play in everything is a part of a fucking business. And that the same way that a business can be controlled by mercantilism, that it can also be controlled by people coming out of a college and thinking, I think that women should have 50-50 parity in everything. And the consequences of that being a dire bubble that bursts across a business that leads to a 15% capital of unrealized gain return being foisted out of the customer, when I could just simply go up to them and say, tell me the reason why we need to do this. Explain the reason why. Show me where it says this in the market that we should do these things.
Driving up costs in the long term. But it's such an easy way to buy votes, because the people currently living there makes them pay less at the cost of everyone else in society. Tell the people there you'll make their rent cheaper. Fuck anybody else. Fuck the second order effects. The Zoran Mamdani campaign perfected slopulism. He knew rent control was useful to buy votes. His ad for it was basically, you want free shit? Vote for me. Like dangling keys.
What's that? A Democrat? Using the easy means of free stuff? Just vote for me? I'm a theater kid like you? And then immediately turning and saying, actually, listen to ICE. Stop engaging and interrupting their lawful operations. Fell for it again award. Fell for it again award. Fell for it again award. I'm speaking too much. I'm telling the truth on things. I'm sorry. The baseness is leaking out of me.
In front of children, and the slopulism doesn't stop there. He was a radical Islamist communist or whatever, but in reality he doesn't really believe in anything. He's clearly able to mold his principles around what his audience wants. He's willing to mix and match any popular enough rhetoric to win support, like echoing libertarian concerns regarding over-regulation of the market. Ooh, we'll halve the fines for small businesses, because small businesses are the common man like you and me, not like those big business that we hate. And what is the point of halving the fines? If the rule which the company is getting fined under works, and it's a good rule, then why punish people less for breaking it? We should keep those rules consistent. Now, if it's a bad regulation that makes things expensive for little positive benefit, then just cut the rule, cut the regulation. All this kind of policy does is reduce the punishment for wrongdoers. It's about making it easier for sloppy street vendors who don't meet the standards to get away with it.
That's not the people that benefit from it, even though that is a first, second, third order magnitude consequence because of it. No. It is the people who were never intending on ever following the rules and are clearly getting away with defrauding their local communities and hiding it behind, but I'm a good ally being able to do it.
Now, Zoran will not deliver even a quarter of his agenda because he's promised everything to everyone. We're going to slash regulations and support development while also not ceding any ground to the greedy capitalist developers. And we're still going to keep all of our regulations on housing basically the same. He's a psychotic fraud. To white people, he's the leader for all Americans. To people who aren't white, he's going to be the one to tax whitey and take all their blood money off them. Bro, I'm going to be real, you just know it. As soon as the cameras turn off, he's picking up a spoon. He's just eating with his hands to look exotic to white liberals, dude. That is literally all just signaling. Another common sloppulist point is about how AI is drinking all our water. And we're so thirsty as well. AI's water consumption is not a concern. I've gone over this before. It consumes so much less water than so many other important industrial processes. But people just don't like the idea of those wealthy industrialists building something they don't understand within 100 miles of their neighborhood. They want to stop the data centers, and they're not even sure why. If America does lose to China, you want to know why it happened? It's because China's a dictatorship. They don't have to listen to these foolish old people who don't know anything and want to block every development. They barely pay anything in welfare, they bust unions, and they have no building regulations. You can research whatever the fuck you want and nobody can stop you. The corporation there can do R&D and whatever the fuck they want and nobody can stop you. There won't be some greenie coming up and saying you can't build there. So if you are building AI, you don't have stupid think tanks or NGOs or boomers to tell you otherwise. The US economy has been carried so strongly by AI recently and people want to stop.
It really hasn't been. Because AI is a tool that has been used for multiple things, and people keep acting as though it's going to be this big, massive project that's going to cause a necessary boon and then bust, but it's just going to flounder and then fall off as its relevancy for what it could best be used for, which at best is for optimization for search engine results, and also at best is computer generation for, well, pretty much any fucking deepfake video or creative project you want, but at worst, porn deepfakes. Because inherently people are going to fight over something that's entirely outside the scope of this video, which is whether or not the human can detect the difference between AI and human-generated material, which the answer is that you cannot, because it's very easy to trick people. And the quantitative problem there is, again, outside the scope of this content, but the idea that basically a person has the definitive ability to define soul by looking at it.
One of the most important and obviously useful technologies right now, out of knee-jerk reactionary bullshit, progressive my ass. But it's because we're sticking it to the heckin' billionaires. If we actually taxed billionaires, we wouldn't have poverty because billionaires cause poverty, and we shouldn't even have billionaires. If we actually taxed them, we could cure cancer 600 times instead of spending that money on Elon's vanity earplugs. And, you know, other useless junk that we don't need, like rocket ships and electric cars.
Or concubine wives that take their place in a Chinese-American soap opera of what right-wing influencer is going to take his semen and then blood money and then immediately turn on their base next.
The funny thing is, the US...
And then attempt to punish Elon by trying to trans his child.
already has this populist kind of tax structure. The ultra-rich are actually taxed a lot more, and they consistently pay the vast majority of taxes. The top 0.1% pay a huge quantity of tax in the US, and Elon getting richer means more tax revenue. Compare the US to these Nordic countries with their vaunted social programs. Some of them, like Iceland and Sweden, actually have higher number of billionaires per capita than the US. And that's how they fund those social programs, by having the billionaires there that they can tax. The tax structure in these Nordic countries is also actually more linear. The middle class pays more, relatively, and they don't have this tax bracket for the ultra-rich like in the US. And Sweden has slightly lower corporate tax rate than America even. And the US spends way more on welfare than anywhere else in the world. It's also a common stupid thing to portray the US as some kind of capitalist hellscape, right? Where in reality, the US market is actually more regulated than a lot of European markets in like Australia, at least according to the Heritage Foundation Economic Freedom Index. And this is a pro-American think tank saying this, by the way. Like, for example, in Australia, we have a less regulated banking industry than they do in the US. So I don't know why the US is always portrayed as some laissez-faire thing. This stuff was obvious slopulism when Billie Eilish did it. You have to be genuinely stupid to fall for a multi-millionaire who's criticizing billionaires. They're trying to think of—
Well, we're talking about a vapid supposed artist who knows little to nothing about how things are actually done and how the world makes their money, trying to critique other people about how they can properly be able to make their money. If we're really speaking apples to oranges, we're dealing with the problem that is obvious on its face without ever having to bring it up by word or mouth. And that's just the gospel truth. It's a thing. It's a very annoying thing, but it's a thing. It's not a thing you can easily address either, because you're kind of not allowed to. If I say, why would I want to listen to the fat-ass white girl, fat-ass for two different reasons, about how she thinks the world ought work, when she doesn't pay a single goddamn bit into anything, it's going to be because I don't see what she has to offer, when she's just laziness. Inherently just a form of laziness, from the bottom to the top. Really, no remorse. It's something that is inherent to why we don't listen to celebrities. Because often they're not jacked in to the reality of the world. Because they live in a bubble where their viewpoint on policies will never directly affect them. Again, listen! Don't hear! Listen! If there are some people in the world that they have to spawn, not just women, but men too. If there are people in the world that have to spawn in order for them to arrive at the conclusion that they should want the world to be safe and they should want things to be simple and easy so that people can be able to rear their children, there are some people that have never understood how hard it is with money, with reality, with dating, with existence, because they've just been coasting through life with no real difficulty, that when they speak, they don't realize how dumb what they're saying is because they have never known the real reality of the hardship. That's the inherent problem you have there. When they have the experience, they make music like Nirvana. When they don't, they make music like Lord.
Of ways to make them more relatable to you. You know, it's just silly to talk about how unfair capitalism is, then completely engage in it, doing constant brand deals, constantly trying to hawk stuff to your audience, and not even demonstrate that the things you believe are remotely worthwhile by actually living out some principles in real life. The billionaires ultimately are just an easy target because they're not relatable to the average person, but also people will often make an excuse for their own favorite billionaire. And usually the points of criticism are just hollow. They don't really say much at all that's interesting or worthwhile. Now obviously anti-billionaire stuff is easy to sell because everybody wants free shit, but nobody wants to pay taxes. So just tell people that there's somebody somewhere else richer than them that will be paying for it and they won't have to pay anything. That's also why the talking point about people liking socialism when it isn't described as socialism makes sense. Yeah, people like the idea of free shit so long as they don't know about the associated cost. And billionaires are distant enough from the average person that nobody really relates to them. As for their influence in buying politics, well, yeah, that can be bad, but they aren't conspiring together as a class. There's billionaires with all sorts of views, conflicting views on every social issue. People attack Elon Musk all the time, but the reality is people like him and Peter Thiel are the outliers. Most billionaires disagree with them and aren't on their side. Now, I usually just ignore what people say when they start talking about so-called neoliberalism or trickle-down economics. Those aren't actually schools of thought or arguments people made, they're cliches. Trickle-down economics, it was never actually something that anybody advocated for. It's not actually like an economic school of thought. And also there's the old point about how billionaires want you to hate immigrants. Like, what? Billionaires love mass immigration. Like Michael Bloomberg saying immigration doesn't threaten America, it strengthens America. This country needs more immigrants and we should be out looking for immigrants. Or how about Bill Gates saying, I'm a big believer that as much as possible, and there's obviously political limitations, freedom of migration is a good thing. Or Mark Zuckerberg saying, I hear fearful voices calling for building walls. Instead of building walls, we can help people build bridges. Even Elon Musk, who rapidly turned chud in just a short amount of time, even he was shilling for H1B.
Elon Musk was always a chud. He was always a son of a rich family that demonstrated pride in doing something that everybody has always loved to do. To be the inherent, suspiciously wealthy African that convinces everybody to give him his money so that he can go and become a Nigerian prince. Complete with a white mother that is wearing emeralds and diamonds, that has always been proud of her child, and how he's been able to make business after business after business because he had the background and the wherewithal and the knowledge to do so, as well as the safety cushion that enabled him to do it. And a person who is in the business world, who has the ability to afford jobs, why would he not then bring people in with H-1B visas? What's that? I can get more workers for all those companies that I run, and that I automate and generate wealth from, and then borrow my net wealth against so that I can have asset on hand and money on hand. Why, of course I love free money! Forehead!
And that's one of the big things that actually humiliated him among the conservative base that was following him at the time. He went out and really hurt his reputation by getting angry at Americans, calling them subtards, because they didn't support his idea of immigration and H-1Bs. They had a different idea on Twitter and such. He was getting trolled for it and he crashed out and basically downstream of that lost his position within the halls of power. So the idea that billionaires want less immigration or want you to blame immigrants is just stupid. Billionaires love mass immigration. But populism isn't some exclusively leftist thing, and it's not exclusively right-wing either. The average uninformed person probably has a hodgepodge of ideas from really all kind of camps. I would say it's vaguely anti-capitalist, but also maybe reactionary, racist, conspiratorial. It's really what you'd imagine an uneducated person to think. It's about us versus them and basic emotions like love, hate, and fear. It's about the common man versus the secret enemy. Anti-Semitism and racism may or may not be, I would say, depending on the point in time, what's currently acceptable. Talking about how Israel did literally everything and how everyone ever behind any bad thing that happened was Jewish, it's definitely sloppyism. In the past, popular consensus was colorblindness. And so I would say popular phrases you'd hear would be like, I don't care if somebody's black, white, brown, yellow, or blue. Like, who the fuck is blue? I think we should all just mix together into one big beige block so there won't be any more racism, because we're all one race, the human race. People just don't talk like that anymore, and that I think does represent a paradigm shift. Now, the populist position depends on your...
There's an argument there. It's not a very strong argument, but there's an argument there that he is correct. But the problem there is that it went from the case example of people being about this because they want to see people as a part of the same group versus people being tribalistic. And it is inherently better to serve to the bases of a tribe and use them as a means of weaponizing for potential power than actually just being somebody of your own volition that thinks things and has opinions and says stuff and does shit. Because telling people what they want to hear is easier, especially if you don't actually intend on actually knowing and understanding these people versus actually getting to know them and then having the ability to have the discussion. The difference between do as I say but not as I do, what do as I say and also do as I do, and also when will you be coming over for dinner? Martha's got the stew in the oven and she's made a plate for you.
Or identity. Classically, racism was the norm. Anti-Semitism and bigotry was the way to appeal to the masses. And I think the end of colorblindness as a paradigm means a return to that. In a similar vein to the Jewish stuff is all the business about the Rothschilds' central bank. It's the stuff you expect, really. Anything about finance and money, really. Finance jobs just move money around. Like, yeah, making money available to those who need it is a job. You need to evaluate risk when you're managing credit. All of those things require work and analysis and knowledge. We only have central banking due to some Jewish conspiracy, not due to the Great Depression or any arguments by economists like Keynes or David Ricardo that you can read about, whose works are public. No, it's so that the Rothschilds can control the money somehow. Now, in the United States, the Federal Reserve is an independent body, the leader of which is selected by the president. They indirectly control the interest rates and have a monopoly on deciding the amount of money that can enter the economy. Now, I'm sure the Rothschilds are in there somewhere. Somehow they can fit in as middlemen, and that's also why they went to war with Napoleon and Hitler, not them invading countries or anything, trying to steal territory, so they could be brought back forcibly into the international finance system. Which is strange because the Nazis seemed to be more than willing to engage with the international finance system when it meant going into debt to fund the war machine. You see, the elite monopolize institutions and push culture war. Which elites? Because, like I established, they don't actually agree on things. I don't know, it could be fucking any elites, really. And talking about monopolies, if you're in a free market with minimal barriers to entry, a monopoly basically means that they are the best and the competition sucks. So unless the government is actively interfering to create that monopoly, then it's not even that bad. A good example of this for you gamers out there is to think of Steam. Again, they're just better than all of the competition. Monopolies aren't always bad.
They don't have a monopoly, they just have a very serious, heavy control of the business. There have always been other service stores and other service frontists, but they don't do the job of Steam, and they don't have the policy foundation of Steam. The idea that it must be a monopoly because people will immediately use it as the networking system is actually an example of exactly how little people actually understand the concept of an NFT and digital currency, because people only think of it in the terms of blockchain cryptocurrency. People buy into a system that is inherently going to fail. It is a system that inherently is going to fail. And yet people pay money into it because we have accepted a certain level of disappointment and a certain level of expectation that then becomes a part of exactly how we then think about how we do game preservation, game ownership, and what it is I actually own. All the two-factor authentication and secondary security systems in the world doesn't undo the fact that a Steam account is a license to rent. But we pay into it. Why? Because I now have access to a repertoire that I have paid over time and I have earned over time. And I have the ability to access it even when my computer is offline. It isn't directly speaking to the network. And rather than somebody making another Steam account of their own, they can be an offshoot child account of mine and then have access to all the content that I've ever purchased and consumed, handed straight down, grandfathered to them. Think about that for a second. My stepchild, when he is of age to use computers, which I'm hoping is like 4 or 5, because I'm waiting. When he has the ability to properly use a computer Same way that I was putting computers together at the age of 5 and 6. He will have the ability to own everything that I own on a Steam collection. Directly, right there. Just reach out, download it, touch it. When I'm not playing it, he can play it. Thousands of dollars of investment. Even including ones that I didn't pay direct money for. Thousands of dollars of investment. Cream of the crop content. Or, if you want to go to the extreme of this argumentation, infinite material. Infinite material accessible to him from somebody else's money, grandfathered down to him. And my woman. And 2 other members of a connected family using family share. That kind of pro-consumer behavior, if you want to call it a monopoly, is what leads to the domination of Steam in the PC marketplace for video game consumption and workshop modification, when it's endemic to the Steam workshop itself. Assuming you don't use something like, I don't know, Nexus mods as the mod searcher that you use to find the content that you want to modify your files for. Because Epic Games sticks a fucking virtual machine and ransomware and fucking spyware onto your content, while they're in the mission of making the everything app in the form of Fortnite. Marketing and branding deals at the wazoo, but you can't run a fucking 10-year-old game on basic hardware because it's getting raped in the ass by Denuvo. Well, we finally now fully understand exactly why Denuvo ruins people's content. It's because it's running background checks on an additional program, destroying the frame rate and the optimization worked so very hard for by people. Because, piracy, bro. It doesn't matter if it was Steam. It wouldn't have mattered if it was Origin. It wouldn't have mattered if it was EA Play. It wouldn't have mattered what system or what owner of the system was managing it. The digital storefront is itself a problem only in the concept of, one, whether or not you do the job to connect with the fucking service desk to enforce the rights that you have, and 2, whether or not you know that you do in fact have rights about how you own your content. It's what would even motivate somebody like Ross from the Accursed Farms to begin Stop Killing Games in the first place. All of that is supplemented on the fact that they are effectively selling you what is a digital NFT. They're not selling you a game, they're selling you access to a game. Because anybody that you interact with on Steam could report your account and say you're doing bad behavior. And if they generate enough information and enough reports about it, both the behavior that you're doing in the game and the account that you're connecting to play the game, you can find yourself back banned. Which is exactly how it happens. Get banned from the game because the person who runs the service says you're not allowed to play. And even if you tried to access the account again from the Steam account itself is denied because Steam said, oh, you're using this ability of what was a promise about the rent that you pay, allowing you to harass people. We're going to rescind that now. You don't truly own a video game. You own access to a video game. Own access. Hence, rent. But that doesn't make sense to most people because, much like consumables and customizables in a video game, it feels more like you are not purchasing a DLC, but you're purchasing a digital picture, which is an NFT, the non-fungible token. If I pay $2.99 for a fucking profile pic, do I own a picture that I can then print out? I mean, if you can get the source file to do so, then maybe, argumentatively. Otherwise, no. Do I own the soundtrack to Darkest Dungeon? No. I own an NFT that gives me access to it for as long as I'm access to my Steam account. All of the OAuth in the world would not protect me from somebody busting my butthole open by hacking everything I own and taking my access away from it. Then I own nothing, and I'm out thousands and thousands of dollars that would have been better suited stuffing into my bed sheets.
Bell Labs was pretty damn awesome, and breaking them up I would say was a loss for science. Like, nature abhors a vacuum, markets abhor monopolies. So if an entity is subpar in the market...
Markets do not abhor monopolies, they abhor plutocracy. They abhor hegemony. A person who has a monopoly is just one person that has the ability to get all of the benefit while still engaging in the material of what is the physical bazaar that the market share is being held in. What they hate is a hegemony, which then does stringent buy-sell control over price and demand.
Chances are competition's gonna come along and knock them off their spot.
Because that's inherently what a monopoly does. They offer a job, they offer a service, they offer a material. They offer a piss-poor material, but they say, I'm the only business in town, you can't compete against me. Then somebody else sees the opportunity, and like the fucking thing call from robots, see a need, fill a need! And all of a sudden, they have competition. But what then creates the ability to maintain the, quote, monopoly, becoming a plutocracy, becoming an oligarchy, and becoming a hegemony, is when you start having muscle to reinforce your market stance. Duh! Just like in marketplace, as in politics, you need soldiers and foot soldiers and enforcers to enforce your will.
State-sponsored or protected monopolies that are usually the issue. And billionaires are the ones pushing culture war, so we ignore class war. And
okay, good. He covered it. Good. Technically a pause Andy moment.
To that, I just gotta say, would you be happy if you got a socialist paradise where you have everything you want and you don't have to pay for it? But in that paradise, gays couldn't get married and you had segregation? Like, yeah, that's a silly point. Of course, cultural issues matter.
Ultra elites, they designed very complex systems in economics, finance, and governance, as well as culture, to make sure that the masses do not understand how things actually work.
Humans do not rise up against the elites because they designed complex economic systems that people couldn't understand. No, you don't understand it. The books are there. You can try to understand how the world works at any time. Just put in an attempt. These are the who are always making photoshops of One Direction in school when they were meant to be fucking doing work. Why am I forced to share a society with these people? They just stare vacantly into the air. They see a leaf fall from a tree and never wonder why that happens. Some people never looked at the horizon and wondered what was on the other side of it. And the masses don't rise up. I'm not sure if you guys are history buffs or anything, but that has happened a number of times. And every time a new class of elites rises to the top of society. Why does that happen? Maybe it says something about the emergence of hierarchy in human psychology or whatever. It's a bit sad to be Asian and fail at mathematics this badly. Now,
you know what's also bad? To be able to try and bring up a point about the hierarchies and then you don't actually go through the hierarchy to explain why it's slopulism. Instead you say, it's hierarchies, man. Imagine being Asian and getting this wrong, forehead.
Now, slopulism is regularly conspiratorial, but sometimes it can take an anti-conspiratorial bent, especially with the flat earth debate. The whole flat earth debate is pointless because flat earthers do not have any societal power. It's some fringe theory, and flat earth is a simple way to make mediocre people feel intelligent, to remind them that they're better than those idiots who believe this kind of stuff, and convince people to trust authority by introducing the concept of conspiracy theories to the average person. It sets the boundary of what is and isn't acceptable to discuss. If you call something a conspiracy theory, then you're kind of comparing it to being the same as these flat earth nuts. It shows that ideas outside of the mainstream exist and You, the viewer, are obviously too intelligent to believe any of those. Strokes the ego. Same with criticism of megachurches. Genesis did another Gigaslop song about exactly that. Like I mentioned, during the new atheist era, the snarkiest venom spitters would target actual religions, the Catholic Church and such. Even Islam if they were brave, and Judaism if they were stupid. The anti-megachurch thing is just a sanitized version of new atheism. Instead of attacking beliefs deeply held, often by the majority of the population, it's attacking these loopy prosperity gospel scams. They represent really a tiny fraction of actual Christianity, and they're not beloved by most people. It's the safest possible transgression you can make.
That is correct. That is an actual case example of sopulism that constantly gets used. Especially when people that are not of the faith attempt to quote scripture to people while not understanding the definition of the faiths and blaming and claiming that the religious people are people who are completely unwilling to help the common man. Because they don't actually, one, understand those people, and two, the version that they're thinking of in their head are basically just them telling on themselves in their past history. Especially if they came from a religious family, but they themselves were effectively forced into the religion, when really it was that they never engaged and they never caught the Holy Ghost. In any form.
Actual priests of the church are not being paid exorbitant amounts. They are not living in luxury unless you count beautiful old buildings and priceless cultural artifacts. But those things aren't for comfort or luxury, and they shouldn't be for sale either. The actual life is usually a simple one of service. Pointing out these megachurches serve the same purpose as videos of blue-haired SJWs. It's about finding the craziest example of your political enemy and using that as ammunition. Now, I say that sloppyism is reactionary and conspiratorial, but that doesn't mean all conspiracies are sloppyism. Some things may seem adjacent to it by what I've described so far, but may not actually really be an example of it. Acknowledging that espionage does happen and is happening is not sloppyism, especially when accompanied by actual evidence. CIA, Mossad, Russia, China are all very active, producing viruses, monitoring online narratives, making propaganda. Not all theories about these intelligence agencies are true, but, a good amount of them are. Saying the internet is full of botnets, saying the media manipulates people's opinions and determines acceptable public dialogue. The state wants to control your speech, China is producing deadly viruses, and kills off critics of the state. These are things for which there exists some evidence, and they're not just appealing to people's knee-jerk partisan assumptions, but they could still be construed as conspiracies. The issue with criticizing populism is that you're really just referring to democracy. That's usually what it's meant by when people...
No, representation. Democracy is mob rule. When you're criticizing people that are effectively sheep, that vote in the principal interest of people who are manipulating them, that is not what it is. It is probably the worst example. Unironically so.
People say it's a bad thing. They just don't like how people voted. They just don't like the fact that most people don't agree with them. The term really emerged out of elitism from the professional journalists. Don't like the fact that with criticizing populism is that you're really just referring to democracy. That's you.
So, something being popular and then people buying onto it in mob rule really depends on whether or not they are effectively reading things on the surface or if they are actually involved and engaged deeply in the process to understand enough about it that they can actually address what it is they're talking about. In most people's cases, they probably do not know, and even if you tried to help them, would have difficulty in learning. Even then, it would be akin to an emotional response. It'd be akin to an emotional response on the level in which most people could address the problem or the concern. Something on a deeper, inane goal that ultimately leads back itself into slopulism, or into just consuming slop. Slopulism isn't a thing It's just him trying to describe various examples of slop content consumption from people that are too disengaged to watch a live stream, but have too much time in their hands to watch videos in the subject matter, but can't sit themselves still enough for long enough to decide what they're going to consume. So they end up falling into patterns and habits, and they consume the same shit they always consume.
Usually what it's meant by when people say it's a bad thing. They just don't like how people voted. They just don't like the fact that most people don't agree with them. The term really emerged out of elitism from the professional journalist class and academia. But at the same time, you need some standards, some kind of elitism. I do understand somewhat the appeal, or else your society will be reduced to serving the lowest common denominator. It hinges far more on who your elites are and whether your elite class is competent. Because frankly, I think we have one of the worst generations of leaders and academics in a long time, just throwing about everything. The slop world is inescapable. It's slop on every level. We like to imagine our leaders have some godlike competence or superpower, that there's some reason for them to actually be above us, so that there's someone up there pulling the levers who's actually more competent than ourselves. That's why we defer to other people's judgment on things, but at the end of the day, they're just people. At least reptilian conspiracies are honest about that desire, to have someone up there who isn't a human, who isn't just a person. But really, our leaders are so easily captured by foolish dogma and ideology. They fall for the stupidest discharge from intellectual circles and base their whole work, their whole life's work around trying to achieve some goal that they heard of once in a book or video essay that was stated confidently enough. This is how these stupid EU bureaucrats end up going on their dumb crusades against building anything. Subscribe and like the video. Support me on Patreon. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.
It just ends.
Against build, they fall out that desire to have someone up there who isn't a human, who isn't just a person, but really.
So, nearly 32 minutes and 24 seconds of talking where you don't actually dig into any any particular contexts. You're just pointing out things, making fun of people at a distance, and then you end it off with not even a fanfare that summarizes the content of the material. That is probably the case example of slop itself. In trying to talk about slop and slopulism and how people are lazy and outsource their opinion to somebody else, you effectively did worse than what people supposedly accuse me of, which is rattling on irregularly and aimlessly about nothing while getting material context wrong about subject matter that you're discussing, which then leaves your greater point weaker, especially in relevance to everything else you're discussing. Even without pause, Andy, even while discussing it, there are things that are left open that you just don't address about slop, that you probably have to address with slop. It's really bad, man. It's really, really bad. It's really, 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 really bad. Alright. So.
Our leaders are so easily captured by foolish dogma and ideology. They fall for the stupidest discharge from intellectual circles and base their whole work, their whole life's work around trying to achieve some goal that they heard of once in a book or video essay that was stated confidently enough. This is how these stupid EU bureaucrats end up going on their dumb crusades against...
No, some of them just really think that. Either way, I have seen the content. He lost me a very long time ago with what he was yapping about. That annoys the piss out of me. Wash this taste out of my mouth with something interesting, Charlie.
A Reddit moderator just made a video directly speaking to and tugging on the heartstrings of the CEO of Reddit. He's making a big call to action after he had been stripped of his position as top mod on r/livestream fail. I'm kind of at a loss for words here. I can't believe what I just watched was genuine and not a skit. but this seems authentic. What you picture in your head when you hear the term Reddit mod is exactly what you are about to see unfold in the flesh. The reason this mod just lost his position is because he was promoting a scam on the subreddit that he was the top mod for, Livestream Fail. I made 2 videos covering this. It was the $1 Million Fan Show, which was paraded around as a $20 million reality television show for streamers' fans to sign up and even paid entry into it to compete for, $20 million prize purse. Turns out the whole thing was a load of baloney, as it appears everything has been wiped off the face of the planet. So some viewers paid money for actually nothing. They flushed it down the shitter, and agencies that brought this to streamers were left embarrassed. Most notably, Mythic Talent was the one that was named by some of the streamers as their agency that took them this deal.
Which is almost every single fucking streamer that's featured on Livestream Fails. Literally every single one most of you could think of by name.
Where seemingly no due diligence was done on behalf of Mythic to confirm whether or not this was even legitimate in the first place as a paid promotion. It was supposed to be an Amazon production, but clearly it was not an Amazon production, and it took 2 seconds of going to the website to deduce that this was fraudulent, but they took this deal before the website even existed. It's a whole mess. I've already covered all this, but Livestream Fail gets roped in because there was this inexplicable partnership that no one fully understood, where $1 Million Fan was in bed with Livestream Fail, and the top mod of Livestream Fail made a post on the subreddit pinning it to try and get more suckers into it. And now this is his response after being fundamentally fired from his free position of Reddit janitor.
Hello, Spez, Mr. CEO of Reddit. I hope you have received this public video that I have created and sent to you via your email. If not, I hope anybody who cares about the topic in this video can get this to him in any way that you can. This video is about a topic of deadly seriousness, and that is of Reddit moderation and the state of your platform.
Oh my god. This is Reddit's Manhattan Project right now. The moderators are rising up against the CEO of Reddit. I'm actually at a loss for words. This couldn't be a more lame start to this video. The topic he's about to cover is how he believes Reddit mods don't have enough, elbow grease from the Reddit upper echelon, like Spez here, the CEO. He believes they should be entitled to, like, brand deals, talent managers, lawyers, and stuff, so that way they can better be utilized as Reddit moderators. I'm not even kidding, by the way. I'm not exaggerating. Like, these are points he was making in this video, and that's what he's talking about with deadly seriousness here. He talks about Reddit moderators like they're fucking G.I. Joe commandos. Man, please come back to reality. Like, I don't want anyone to harass this guy, so I'm not gonna be, like, showing you his channel or anything like that, because honestly, I kind of feel bad for him that he's put so much weight on his personal life into this position, which is just a thankless job. And it's not really a job, at least it should never be considered a job, because all he is doing is moderating a fucking subreddit as a volunteer janitor.
You shouldn't feel bad. This is a well-known person that's annoying as fuck. They deserve every little bit of what's happening to them. Is it good that it's happening? No. Am I going to feel sorry for them? Absolutely not. I repeat the statement I said before. The emotion they get from me is shame. Not my circus, not my monkeys. Some people gotta learn the hard way. Hard heads make a soft ass.
Thought this was a skit, and I'm still, a small part of me, on the copium here, is hoping that this is, like, satirical and not real, but I don't know, it feels genuine.
I was the top moderator of your #1 gaming subreddit, r/livestreamfail, before I was recently removed from that position by the Reddit Code of Conduct team. I became a Reddit moderator.
I mean, calling Livestream Fails a gaming subreddit is very, very, very much a stretch of the term gaming. Is gaming when you have drama and never-ending content sprees around people that don't actually have anything to do with gaming, and it's more about clouded content creators and streamers being given free access to even more free promotion for their broadcasts, behaving badly and thus feeding the content loop of negative engagement and positive negative engagement? Is that what gaming is? I feel like you could have an entire debate about that. There I go. Doing subtext again. But no, you could have an entire debate around the idea about whether or not a drama subreddit is actually a subreddit that is worthy of its soul. But you'd have a very hard time defining it as normal if you did so. At least in my opinion. I need money.
For one reason. And that is because I think that Reddit communities and correspondingly its moderators have massive power and influence, and for some reason, nobody seems to notice, care, or take this seriously.
There is an argument that yes, moderators always have had power. That is always the reason why censorship is gay. People that have the ability to control what information you see and direct what information you look at do in fact have power. And there's also a lot of power in deciding whether or not it's important enough to cover, or when it's presented to be discussed, denying it from being covered and saying, don't bring this up again or I'll ban you for it. There is actually a lot of power in that. However, Reddit janitor trying to control what you can discuss when you're in a place that was designed around discussion of topics that could be considered verboten. Gay does not even begin to explain how cucked that is.
Least of all, its moderators or the company.
You know, that's not really a good look to say the sole reason you pursued this path of heroism as a Reddit moderator is because you believed that it held so much power. So you're basically just saying that you were power hungry and wanted to take this spot so that way you could feel powerful. He believes that Reddit communities and specifically Reddit moderators hold a strong level of sway and power, and that's why he became one himself. That, I don't think, is a good look, man. It's not even coming from like a place of passion or something for communities. He is literally saying he did it because he wanted to be strong. Come on! I understand that Reddit communities, like Reddit as a whole, is a platform that does hold like legitimate influence over like conversations and topics and stuff like that. So by extension, moderators have a lot of ability to control narratives by hiding things or boosting things, and that is something that I've talked about in the past and a lot of people have made mentions of many times. It's been a pretty big yapping point for a while. This is the quintessential Reddit mod mentality. You know the stereotype that exists of power-tripping Reddit mods? He is, in the first minute of this video, confirming that is exactly what drives him, is power. Like this small modicum of power that he was bestowed for the livestream fail subreddit. And it's... the level of self-importance is sickening.
In this video, I will go over why I believe this, and I will also talk about a code of conduct moderation action that was taken against me due to good faith mistakes that I believe were caused by a clear lack of direct material support that the company gives its moderators. I will end the video by talking about what you, Spez, can do to fix this problem, as well as what I and other communities can do in case Reddit does not solve this very serious mismanagement problem regarding the lack of support that is given to moderators.
So here's the spoiler alert. He is going to be playing as a sad song on the world's smallest violin about how he's been removed now as top mod of Livestream Fail because he was promoting a scam through that subreddit, which did ultimately result in people losing money. There were actual victims of the scam, so he has been removed of his position at the top of the food chain on Livestream Fail, and he is now putting a decent chunk of that blame on Reddit itself for not giving him the tools to avoid this from happening. Like at a certain point, there's like a brief moment of self-awareness, like this lightning bolt of self-awareness where he's like, yeah, you know, it was a little fishy. But then he like immediately pushes it onto Reddit like, But if Reddit had given me access to brand deals and lawyers, this probably wouldn't have happened. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're a Reddit mod. Why would Reddit be giving you access to lawyers and brand deals and shit? That doesn't make sense.
Because it's a leftist hovel, and many of them have had free access to people who were very much down for the cause and willing to do so. For free. Because, lol, it would be really good if somebody were to do this to a person I don't like, so we can antagonize and harass them about it. It makes perfect sense. The problem is that it makes the sense that it does for a person who's crazy.
First, I will go over the code of conduct action and why I was removed as the top moderator of r/livestreamfail. This sounds like stupid internet drama, I know, but I'm going to talk about how this is a very clear example about how Reddit's mistakes causes very serious problems to Reddit's community and the company as a whole.
It was your mistake, buddy. Fucking Spez wasn't behind you massaging your shoulders as you signed the deal with $1 Million Fan Show, which turned out to be a scam. He wasn't like the Sith Lord projecting into you, trying to convince you to go to the dark side to, you know, sell out Livestream Fail to get more people hooked on $1 Million Fan Show. It was not the CEO of Reddit that forced you to do that, and even if you did have access to lawyers and other brand deals, it wouldn't have prevented something like this from happening. You made the choice.
There's an argument here where technically you have to take the Devin Nash approach. If he had access to a brand company who would have been able to properly do the investigation necessary to affirm that $1 Million Fan Show was in fact a scam, then he would have never made the mistake. But the problem is that he doesn't have common sense. He doesn't have common sense. He thought, I'm gonna make this money real quick, I'm gonna catch me a band, and I'm gonna end up making good benefits for all these people who are provided opportunities because we choose to feature drama involving their clips and contents of their broadcasts and live streams on the platform at large. That is probably what happened. I don't care at the end of the day. This guy's a fucking retard. But that's likely what was in their mind. They thought, this is good for me, this is good for the platform, this is good for this subreddit, it's good for every person who engages in the competition and earns money, this is something I should do. Without actually looking at the fine print about where it comes from. Again. Listen, don't hear, listen. He thought he was a leader. But he was just a fucking dumbass follower.
Here's what happened. There was an announcement related to a live stream related game show called $1 Million Fan. I heard about the game show a few hours after it got announced by a couple major live streamers. It sounded like the perfect type of content for a live stream fail. I mean, reality TV, game show, live streaming, gaming, you know, that's perfect for LSF, which is about fun, crazy content about kind of live streaming gamers.
No. It is only tangential to the fact that because Twitch was a website that started out for gaming, and then eventually became an everything broadcasting app, featuring some of the classics of nigga slop and more, that you could even be able to approach the example of putting live stream fails and gaming in the same sentence. There have been more updates on LSF about NMP and Millennia's fucking divorce proceedings than actual gaming content. Don't even have to bring up Kai Cenat. Don't want to bring up Kai Cenat. I shouldn't have to. You have minds of your own. Hell, you could be Googling it right now and looking what's on the fucking front page of the subreddit. But there are more case examples of people that do non-gaming related drama shit that's showing up on LSF than gaming related shit showing up on LSF. And yes, 100%. Up, there it is. Hark. Carl's right. Carl's right. Carl's right. And I called it without even having to fucking think about it. Is it because he understands people? Is it because he understands nature? Is it because, like the shadow, he too knows what is in the darkness in men's hearts? No, it's because it just makes sense. Logically. It just logically makes sense.
Oh,
If that isn't the stinkiest load of horseradish I've ever heard with that description of LSF. Do you go on your own subreddit? Have you ever been on your own subreddit? That's not what it is. That's not what you just described at all. That is the most blatant misrepresentation of that subreddit I've ever heard anyone try to squeak out. If this was Pinocchio, his nose would have just went fucking Wumbo Insano style with that lie right there. Anyone who has ever visited LSF in the last, 7 years will tell you it is not a subreddit for crazy, wacky clips of gaming and, extreme fails or anything like that. I don't know why he's even trying that angle. Everyone knows that's not what that subreddit is.
So when I heard about this, I was very excited. I immediately reached out to the organizers to see if we could set up some sort of a collaboration. This collaboration would just be to get cool content on the subreddit. No, financial incentives, no moderators being paid, basically none of anything like that, just fun, cool stuff for the community in the subreddit. For collaborations, the first obvious thing that came to mind was how do we get their content on the subreddit? Either some superfans or some editors could clip some cool hype moment from the show and then post it to the subreddit.
What? That's what happens already organically on every other stream. Why would this, a potential $20 million reality TV show, be any different? Obviously, things would already be being clipped and posted on the LSF subreddit. Why would you be reaching out about a collaboration to ensure that happens when you know for a fact it already would if this fucking show ever actually existed in the first place? That doesn't make any sense to me at all. Trying to be extremely charitable here, maybe he was under the impression that this would be exclusive to Amazon Prime, thus they wouldn't have the rights to post it on LSF. But on the flip side of that coin, he said he heard about this from streamers, thus he would have known that it was going to be streamed on Twitch in the first place, thus it would still be clippable for LSF. That's just business as usual. I don't know why he would reach out about a collaboration to do what was already no doubt going to be done already. It just, that doesn't pass the smell test. I don't understand.
But I also had a stretch goal, and that was, what if LSF could be part of the show in some way? I don't know, there could be like a LSF...
So, injecting yourself into the show. You're a retard. Okay. Yes, Jannies should definitely be a part of the content and be controlling it like fucking judges. Like it's American Idol.
Themed best clip contest. Like, contestants compete in one of the kind of small challenges. They make the best clip, and then somebody kind of wins a prize at the end. It was a stretch goal, though.
Why, though? LSF Best Clip is just the best clip from the event. Why does LSF's name need to be attached to it? This guy is treating Livestream Fail like it's his personal brand. Like, this is his baby, this is his product. So all the clips that hit LSF are actually Top Mods clips as well. I just don't even get this stretch goal here. I think he just wanted LSF's name out there more because it gives him more power in some capacity. Because this is totally useless. Again, whatever would win best clip would just be someone else's content. There doesn't necessitate a live stream fails shout out there for some reason. Like, even if they were the ones that were hosting votes on what the best clip is, who gives a fuck? That could have been anything and anyone where people, the actual communities, would vote on it, not just his subreddit. Anyway, though, he goes on to explain that they accepted this proposal. He was super hype about it because it meant this was a big moment for the subreddit, and he even made a mention that he believed he could turn this into even more opportunities for the subreddit going further, snowballing it into even more LSF prominence.
So we quickly worked to make an announcement together, and I posted it the next day. When I posted it, everybody in the comment section immediately yelled, scam, 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 scam. I mean, think about it. Amazon Prime has spent lots of money on tons of shows, and, I didn't necessarily...
Amazon, not Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime is the vehicle by which they use Amazon and Twitch Primes to get you to have a tie-in to the delivery service vehicle through AWS and all of the other services that are hooked in to Amazon as a company brand that owns it by proprietary share as a loss leader. Why? You know the answer why, Carl. But we're gonna talk through it, Carl. It's okay. We're gonna talk through it. Why would Amazon Prime, Amazon, but specifically Amazon Prime, why would Amazon Prime be offering sponsor opportunity deals to broadcasters? They wouldn't already be offering through Twitch, through a service that they already did, and a content vehicle that they already did, called Twitch Rivals, to achieve the same effect with popular zeitgeist broadcasters. Break it down. Why wouldn't they already do that? Because they already own it. The answer that why they do it is because there hasn't been a Twitch Rivals since the fucking takeover of the company by Amazon. Amazon doesn't understand gamer culture. Because Amazon doesn't understand gamer culture, why would they do a gaming event where they bring in a bunch of broadcasters that are popular creators on the platform? There's inherently no benefit for them. Because those popular creators would just make the events themselves. And many do. So then, when you investigate it and you ask yourself, well, why wouldn't Amazon be involved with this? They would have had marketing information about it. Because Amazon's a big company. Somebody would have been responsible. You could have gotten in touch with somebody on Dan Clancy's team. More than likely. You have the politics of the fucking employees. So it's not like they wouldn't be able to talk to you. Just from that statement alone, you would have been able to realize, oh wait, actually this is a scam. Because why would you be expecting the service that does the subscription model to be funding the game show? It would have been like the Fallout Shelter show. Literally putting out an all-cast call for people to apply for their information to see if they can be a part of the reality show. That was something that is real. That's a real all-call done digitally, online. This is Firefest. Right in front of your eyes. And you didn't notice? I understand that Reddit mods are not very intelligent, and they get most of their shit from being a font for other people's opinions. But you walk yourself through it, and it's like, if you were of the culture, you would know this is the case. But you're not of the culture because you're a fucking Redditor.
Sincerely think that the show was worth $20 million, but you know, that doesn't mean that Amazon Prime wouldn't fund it. And you know, if LSF was involved, maybe it would actually succeed. You know, maybe my alone could make the $20 million kind of investment worth it. Who knows? At least that's what I thought.
It sounds like you weren't thinking at all, though. Why would Amazon be spending $20 million on like 8 streamers and their fans on Twitch, and only a $5 million grand prize for Mr. fucking Beast? What sense does that make, man? That isn't really checking out either. Also, he's making kind of like a joke about, you know, maybe my involvement alone would make it worth the investment. But that's how he actually feels, by the way. Like, that's his tone throughout this whole video. He truly believes that he is like God's gift to streaming because he was the top mod of live stream fail. Like, it is a very like scary mentality to have, and I do genuinely feel bad for him that he has like poisoned his own brain to this level, deluded himself into thinking that him being a top mod on a subreddit was like something of significance and like something of like grand importance.
I'm a highly paid software engineer working in San Francisco. I do not need to take a couple $1,000 bribes from, you know, random internet scams, okay? I was doing this because I legitimately, you know, care about the subreddit, and that's why I spend my time on it.
He debunks rumors that he was paid to promote $1 Million Show from the organizers, saying that he doesn't need to be taking bribes, he's financially well off. He then goes on to say that he was addressing like some of the deleted comments because that was a specific mention in why Reddit canned him, because it potentially showed malice because he was involved in this promotion that ended up being a scam. And so he wanted to address like the deleted comments. He then has a section dedicated to me where I talked about the scam, and then the organizers were talking to him like, well, since Charlie talked about the scam, 5 streamers dropped out, so we're, you know, no longer doing this anymore. Pack your bags, take down the post. And then he says I didn't do enough research on it because I didn't reach out to him or the organizers.
But beyond that, it doesn't seem like he did much research. I don't think that he reached out to any of the organizers. He certainly didn't reach out to me. And I mean, I don't know if he reached out to Mythic Talent or any of the streamers. And that important point is that nothing in this situation has yet to be definitively proven as a scam. I repeat, there is no definitive, at least public information yet, that anything fraudulent, malicious, or illegal has happened in the situation.
Brother, your level of research was cold calling the organization dick in hand, begging to be associated with them, and then that was the extent of it, because apparently you heard one of the streamers promote it. And yet he's going to be causing a hubbub because I didn't reach out to him for his perspective. Brother, I didn't even really talk about you in my video, just that you were associated with this shit, roped into the same scam that they were. And for what it's worth, if you watch the video, you would know I did get in contact with 2 agencies, one of which got the exact same contracts that Mythic did and got information on that, as well as getting one of the actual offers that Mythic was taking to the streamers. So I was very well familiarized with everything that was unfolding behind the scenes. And again, it doesn't take a super sleuth to go to their website and see that it's just fucking barnacles, man. One of their partners didn't even exist. There was no website and no business. Their about section was AI generated mumbo jumbo. Every single paragraph ended in triplets and also had the telltale sign of it's not this, it's this, over and over and over again. Their first image on their site was literally an AI generated mansion, and he mentions that in this video, but then goes on to say shamelessly that there's no definitive proof that this was ever a scam in the first place. That's a wild statement. Why don't you ask the people who spent money on this how they feel? Do they feel like they got their money's worth? Did they get the product they paid for? I imagine not, because this event is not even potentially in the cards and doesn't seem like it ever was to begin with, man. Their socials are removed, the website is down, Amazon hasn't made a peep about it. From what I've heard, the agencies are pissed about this. All signs point to this being a scam. Like, any sane, sensible person would look at all of this evidence and reach the same conclusion that this was horseradish. I don't know why he's trying to present something otherwise now.
The only confirmed things that we have right now is that I guess there was a website, looked a little weird, there was some bad publicity, everybody called it a scam, and then a bunch of streamers dropped out, and then the event got canceled, and everybody got refunded. None of this is illegal. None of this is proved to be...
I highly doubt people got refunded. Did people get refunded when Firefest went fucking tits up sideways? Did they get refunded when bullshit events happening out in the Arizona desert that were supposed to be equivalent to South by Southwest get fucking reinvested? No. They just got scammed, lost their money, and got fucking fucked in the ass about it. I don't think it's been reported that people have gotten their money back. Fully.
Be a scam, at least yet. Maybe I'll eat these words.
Brother, you're eating your own cock right now. What are you talking about? And then everyone clapped. Like, this is just fanfic. Where are you getting this information? There was an explicit no refund policy on their website baked into it. It was very boldly stated there are no refunds once you make these purchases. Who got a refund? I haven't seen anyone, posting receipts of getting a refund from the money they spent on this. Where are you getting that information from? That's a genuine question. Maybe he's seeing things that I'm not seeing somewhere. Because I even looked into it after he made this video, wondering like, whoa, they refunded? That's pretty surprising. I can't find any proof of that. I would love to see where he found that.
It's really not a secret or very surprising. I got removed directly for the post that I pinned to the top of the subreddit related to the game show or supposed and alleged scam, as well as kind of for deleting comments that were kind of critical of it. I also want to make a comment about kind of the Reddit code of conduct team as a whole.
Let's not let him just zoom past that. He outright admitted the reason why he was removed was because he pinned the shit to the comment, and he was deleting comments critical of him. That is enough of an egregious example that even on a platform like Reddit, they're going to remove you simply because you put the blood out there. You stupid fuck.
Reddit has all this flowery language about how kind of the code of conduct team is not here to punish you. It's kind of here to get you to act in good faith. It's here to kind of give you second chances and warnings and all of this stuff. And apparently all of that are lies.
No shit, Sherlock!
Man, this feels like the perfect implementation of that protocol. You pinned what seems to be, from all possible evidence, a scam. I don't know why he is trying so desperately to persuade to the contrary. Maybe it's because he believes that if he can try and, like, prove that he really believes that it's not fraudulent, he can get his position back as...
Yeah! We don't even have to fucking go there, dude. There was multiple times where it was documented on the website about remembering the human and about etiquette and civil property and rights and shit. And instead, what we ended up with is a bunch of fucking leftists that say one thing, do another, lie about it, and laugh in your face when the consequences come through the form of their first, second, and third order magnitude issues, making everybody think that they're a pseudo-intellectual that's intelligent. Meanwhile, even retards on Quora know that people on subreddit are fucking stupid. Why would you ever think that you'd be given power again? And why would you ever think that they'd give you power back just because you said, I'm really, really sorry, I didn't know it'd be a problem?
Top mod of LSF. I don't know, or maybe, like, getting really conspiratorial, maybe he worked with the organizers in a deeper capacity than he's letting on. That's just a possible game theory. It's just extremely peculiar how hard he is fighting to try and convince himself and others that maybe this wasn't a scam, when all available evidence points towards this being fraudulent. And if this video is him trying to make a case for himself why he should be reinstated and get that power coursing through his veins again as a moderator on Reddit, then this is a terrible job. Because what he is doing now is showing that he is willing to even defend what seems to be, by all possible accounts, a scam that he was directly associated with, maybe unknowingly, and now he is doubling down on it. That is a terrible look, and that makes you look like an unhinged moderator who, even when proven to be incorrect, will not see that, will not take the accountability there. And now he's getting mad at the Code of Conduct team for enforcing their rules. He deleted comments that were critical of his decision to promote this sketchy game show, and promoted a sketchy game show that resulted in people spending money on something that didn't exist, doesn't exist. So I feel like it's a pretty justified termination of his moderator status.
Now, here's the most important part of the video, Spez. This is a direct message to you and only you. I want to talk about how this whole situation is a direct result of the lack of support that Reddit, the company, gives to its moderators. Yeah, I did the partnership. Yeah, I didn't look into this as much as I should, and I trusted kind of agencies and live streamers when I should not have. And I did delete comments, which I thought would have been borderline defamatory if the situation wasn't, I guess, a scam, even though it technically hasn't been proven to be a scam yet. But despite all of that, there is still massive kind of like problems at Reddit, the company, due to the lack of support that caused this.
Now, this message may have been only for Spez, but I've intercepted the broadcast here. Now, I've put my ear into it, and I'm taking a listen, and what I'm hearing is fucking wild. He almost gets into a level of accountability where he's like, yeah, I did the partnership. Yeah, I didn't look into it. I didn't do any research on it. And then he immediately falls back into, but it hasn't really been fully proven to be a scam. And also, it's actually, in a large part, Reddit's fault that this happened in the first place because I wasn't given enough tools at my disposal to avoid making stupid decisions.
Reddit moderators have power. They have influence. If you are one of the people who is joking...
You only have as much influence as people choose to give you. If they don't give you any influence, you don't have any power. CCP keys to the kingdom. Some of the most basic quintessential learning you'd ever need about geopolitical strategy and actual contexts of diplomacy.
Talking about, like, internet janitor duties or whatever, I'm sorry to tell you, it's funny jokes, but you are wrong. Reddit moderation does matter. Reddit moderators have control over millions of impressions per day, and nobody seems to notice or care. Let's just talk about LSF. Think of all the streamer careers that have been created because of LSF. Think about the even larger number of streamer careers that have been destroyed because of LSF, because some clip went viral about, like, something bad that they did.
He made you, and he can tear you down as well. This is top mod LSF. It giveth and it taketh. And he also said doodities, which actually had me giggling. I don't know why he said doodities, but that was fucking hype. Anyway, this is now his spiel about why Reddit moderators are extremely powerful dragon level, adversaries and should be taken seriously, and no one seems to notice. It's not that nobody notices, it's that nobody's happy about it. There shouldn't be people like this that can just power trip and control a conversation and control what people are able to opine on or not, like with deleted comments or deleted posts and stuff like that, where they can hide certain things or boost certain things. That's a bad thing. Everyone knows that it exists, and everyone knows that there is actual power in that. I don't think anyone actually disputes that.
I have had major live streamers who are effectively celebrities come to me and beg to kind of remove, negative posts about them. An even crazier story is the time when—
Say his name. Say his name. Say his name. Say his name. Hassan Piker. Hassan Piker. Say his name. Hassan Piker. Hassan Piker. You have been trying to constantly run fucking subterfuge for Hassan Piker.
some Twitch employees found me in person and borderline begged me to make sure LSF is not used to destroy the multi-billion-dollar company Twitch, partially because at the time LSF was indeed being used to destroy the multi-billion-dollar company Twitch. Deservedly so, by the way.
That's right, you better bow down. Every Twitch employee, when he walked through the door at TwitchCon, got on their hands and knees, instantly groveling at his feet, begging, pleading with him to stop the attack on Twitch, the multi-billion-dollar organization. Dan Clancy came in and sucked his wiener, I heard, in order to try and appease him so that he would stop using LSF to destroy the multi-billion-dollar corporation that is Twitch. Like, come on, man. Like, look at how you're talking about this. This is exactly why you shouldn't have a position as a top moderator of a subreddit. Like this, you are demonstrating the caricature of a Reddit moderator right now.
Or even just take this literal circumstance. Imagine the whole kind of operation was legit. Well, guess what? One single post on LSF caused all of the streamers to drop out and destroyed a $20 million opportunity. Sorry, Mythic. My bad.
$1 million opportunity that was never real. That if their fucking agents did their job, would have already known that it was fake from the beginning and would have never put them in the position to have happen. And then you're sitting there with this fucking look on your face like, yeah, that was my bad. And I'll do it again.
Or imagine it was, I guess, a scam through and through. Well, guess what? We were the ones to expose it and destroy it before it had the chance to cause any real harm.
Expose it by you not being able to immediately affect people from the bad decisions of your dumbass actions. Huh?
Everybody got refunded after all. Guess things ended up okay.
Why do you keep saying that? Where are you finding that information about everyone getting refunded? Are the organizers telling you that? Like, I really don't know where you're seeing that. But again, man, yes, it is a big subreddit, which means things like this information about a $20 million potential scam will have naturally blossomed there, as it would anywhere else on like a big Twitter community or a different subreddit. LSF just happens to be the biggest one. It has nothing to do with you. This is just natural when there is a big community. This would happen on another platform or another subreddit. It is not your achievement for creating the LSF ecosystem that shares clips about a potential scam. And in fact, you could even make an argument that you have actually been a hindrance in some cases in the past with certain things that weren't allowed to blossom there. Like, this is... I don't even understand the point he's making. People know that big subreddits or big Twitter communities or whatever do have a lot of influence. But that happens with or without this guy as the top moderator of the subreddit. That is just the result of a ton of people all in a similar space, in a similar vertical, that are sharing things back and forth. Like, his point is one that everybody knows.
I was one of your most passionate users. I was in the Reddit partnership program from the start. I took advantage of every opportunity that I could. I had meetings with kind of the Reddit community managers. I begged them for help and kind of partnership opportunities at every chance that I could. And I was blown off every single time.
You already said at the beginning of the video that the sole reason you pursued this moderator status is because of the power that it afforded. I don't know why he's now trying to say that he's just so passionate. And even in this section here, he's talking about how he was trying to utilize every possible advantage to like get like brand deals and stuff, man. That's self-enrichment through this position. This doesn't really seem like it's coming from a place of a guy who's trying to like better communities or improve subreddits or make things better for others. This feels like you were chasing power and trying to use it to continue to climb that Reddit ladder.
True.
Whatever that may be.
True.
I was one of the only moderators out there who tried to grow my community, who had any ambition, who tried to work
Grow my community. Not grow this community. Grow my community. It doesn't belong to you.
with the company or help other subreddits or help the company that help, and it didn't matter. I failed, and it failed because of how mismanaged and how little support Reddit, the company, gives to moderators. None of this would have happened if I had gotten support from Reddit. Do you think that I want to be the guy, like, going out, like, messaging random people in Discords and LinkedIn's and trying to figure out kind of these partnerships?
Yes, you
Then
do.
don't fucking do it, buddy. Chalamet, I'm gonna drop an Adam Sandler impression on you here. You are a moderator in a subreddit. Why are you chasing down brand partnerships and collaborations, buddy? The whole point of subreddits is just for a community to come together and talk about certain things, share certain things. And your job as a moderator, and I use job very loosey-goosey because it should never be misconstrued as a job. It's supposed to be filled by very passionate fans of similar mind in the same space that would then just enforce like certain rules about like, you know, making sure someone doesn't get like doxxed or something sensitive being shared like that. Like that is supposed to be all it is. Why are you trying to even find partnerships and deals like that? That doesn't seem, in my eyes, to ever benefit the community. It only feels like it would benefit the mods that are chasing it down. You like to use examples, so I'll use one for you. Let's say you chased down this partnership with $1 Million Fan Show, and it wasn't going super well, and the organizers and you, well, you like to exchange back and forth, and they're like, look, we really need a favor here. Can you only post some of the positive stuff from $1 Million Fan Show and get rid of like the pesky, you know, maybe clips that are negative about it? That would really help us. And let's say you object to that and they're like, okay, well then we're not going to work with you in an official capacity anymore if you don't do this. You see the conflict that this creates? It leads to, I can't believe I'm going to use this word when talking about fucking subreddits and mods, but it leads to very blatant corruption, where you are now in bed with some of these organizations or someone that could benefit from you gamifying your subreddit to cater it more towards them. Maybe it wasn't financial in this case, maybe you weren't paid for it, but extend this thought process to another type of subreddit where maybe there is someone paying for it. Like, let's say I'm a music artist and I want to be featured on like the r/, you know, hard rock subreddit, and I want to make sure my single gets out there, so I reach out to a mod and like, hey, look, I'll pay you some money if you can try and like boost this up a little bit. And this is something that I've read reports of happening in the past, and I think you would agree that that's a problem, right? Now imagine if those mods are also chasing down other artists like, hey, I see your Spotify streams are a little low, if you toss us a little money here, we can use our subreddit and the influence of it to try and boost it up a little bit higher. That's not a good thing.
If Reddit had offered me partnerships, if Reddit had pipelines to connect with kind of major companies, if Reddit had lawyers that were helping me, like, reading over these contracts, reading over these agreements, none of these very real mistakes that I made.
Still admitting fault and blame, thinking you deserve to have second chance. Even if you had gotten all the assistance that you're asking for, you would have just been behind Bully Hunters 2.0. Certainly, the modern audience does not remember fucking Bully Hunters. They remember the meme of Bully Hunters, but you would have been basically backing a scam. And that scam would have been manipulating people's viewpoints on what is real and what isn't, the same way that Bully Hunters was. And where they only just wanted to try and sell you Steel Series branded headsets with the Bully Hunter logo, you're selling them, what? Access, material, entertainment? In trade for what? Power, money, influence? It's unironic corruption, dude.
Would have happened. Reddit needs to be professionalized, and it starts with the mods. This is going to be controversial, but
Reddit needs to be professionalized, starting with the mods. That'll never happen. Not on the grave of the third Reddit founder will it ever happen, because those two white men love black pussy too much. They would never do it. It would never happen. They've made their millions off you, and they continue to make their millions off you, while rewriting history directly in front of you. So why would they ever choose to do that?
People who are running your multi-billion-dollar website are unqualified nobodies like me. That doesn't mean it's my fault or their fault. It's your fault, Spez.
Damn, what a mic drop. Brother, there are no qualifications to be a Reddit mod. That is a position that the community is supposed to, like, decide upon, like, hey, here's our rules, and here's who we would like to enforce them, and that's it. It should never be this deep. I just don't understand why he can't grasp, and maybe he can, and he's just pretending not to, the concept that if you have mods that are financially incentivized to work with brands in collaboration with them, to use the community for their collaborators' purpose, you now have a very disingenuous subreddit that is very easily influenced based on who is paying for it. That should be a very clear conflict, a very obvious issue. It should be pretty obvious why Reddit wouldn't want to invest in a suite of resources like lawyers and brand ambassadors for Reddit mods to look over contracts and shit for Reddit mods securing deals to sell out their subreddit. That's not a good thing.
That means access to anything that like a talent manager would give an actual celebrity. So an access to a bounty board or ad deals or lawyers or event organizers or professionals or anything that actually matters.
To you, personally, actually matters to just you. The guy who is benefiting from the ad deals and brand partnerships and shit. That does nothing for the community you are supposed to be moderating for, brother. What are you not understanding there? Like, he is only arguing to help himself under the guise of it being to grow his subreddit. It only grows you, man.
To summarize, Reddit moderators should be treated like celebrities or influencers, not because they deserve respect or anything, but because they actually have real power and influence. I mean, if not for the world, at least over your $50 billion company. If you gave them actual support, it could go from 50 billion to 100 billion. I mean, it deserves to be that high up for how much traffic Reddit gets.
Yes, a high-level financial growth strategy here. The way to double your company is by spending resources to connect your subreddit moderators with talent managers that will chase down brand deals for them. So that way they can feel like a celebrity and I guess cash in on their mod status. Yeah, I'm really seeing the line now. The pieces of the puzzle are coming together nicely. I get it.
To the community, Spez and Reddit, they're almost certainly not gonna fix any of this. All of this is up to us to solve.
He then tries to address the community about like this problem, and I really don't even understand the problem he's trying to portray here, because all he keeps hammering home is that he is a top moderator, wasn't given enough resources like lawyers, and he wasn't treated like a celebrity enough, and he didn't have the ability to chase down brand deals, which led to him making a poor decision here with the $1 million fan show. How is that a problem that the community, like, would rally behind, man? You just shouldn't have done it in the first place. Reddit shouldn't be a platform where mods are selling out big communities for the sake of brand deals. I don't see a whole lot of community support coming for that kind of message. He keeps presenting it as a problem, but actually I think this video demonstrates exactly why Reddit made the right call removing him from his position. Like, I don't know how he's not seeing that.
To solve all of the problems that I have laid out, we will create tools and resources so good, so useful, that everybody will have to work with us. Think talent agency, but for subreddits. You have the big ideas, you have the vision, you have the crazy cool things that you want to do, and we handle the logistics. Materially, that means connections to major companies, partnerships, doing AMAs, running events, doing mod recruitment, cross-collaboration with other relevant subreddits, that kind of stuff.
He then pitches his new...
If not tying in the people in the subreddit that already don't actually care about drama, which is why they're posting LSF in the first place. You want to tie in other communities into this shit? So more victims that would have been victimized by the scam? Retarded. Fucking retarded.
Thing here, which a talent agency for subreddit mods, I guess. I don't want to get into it. I've been yapping about this for so long. It's just, this video blew my mind that he would actually post something like this. Again, I do actually feel bad for him because this is clearly a position that meant a lot to him, and I'm wishing him the best going forward now without his, you know, sheriff badge of LSF. But I do not think a talent agency for mods is the right path. But, you know, I'm not his dad. He can do what he wants. It's just, this was a mind-boggling adventure watching this one. Anyway, that's really about it. See ya.
Yeah, that's a special kind of retarded. That is a special kind of retarded that if I've ever fucking seen it. Hello, dear Reddit owner, who currently makes his money off of racial accusations being spread by his former tennis player wife, and other Reddit owner who doesn't give a shit, who's too busy fucking black pussy to care about what happens on his website, which is why he has the mod system anyways. Have you heard the good news? The good news that is, if you give me your money, yes, your money, your time and your money, I will turn your money into more money for you, for the low cost of the money that I can make off of it, and clout. Because being a clouded content creator and a clouded person discussing this information about other broadcasters and streamers means that we can make a lot of money off these people. Yes, sir, yes, sir. And all you gotta do is just give me the keys to the kingdom. That's right, the keys to the kingdom. Just give them to me. They're mine. They belong to me. I deserve them.
Welcome to the Cathedral of Shadows, where demons gather.
I want to punch someone in the throat. I just want to do it. Weak to fire. Like, it's not often when you hear something really fucking stupid. Like, really fucking stupid. But in this case, that's one of them things. It's like, oh damn. It really do be that bad. Drain fire. I weep. I weep, man. How old was he? I don't know, Saf. Probably way past his 30s. Probably pushing 40. That kind of bald spot doesn't just come out of nowhere. Sacrificing multiple hail. Sacrificing spread Mazon. I think it should be nerf.
Are you sure?
Mr. President, spike that child. diamond legs. If you were to tell me somebody thought that they deserved to be a Reddit mod because they thought that they could be able to make a fucking ability to scam more people off of that, I would be hard pressed to believe that that person's not a fucking unironic actual retard. But no, the Reddit mods have impressed me by proving that they can in fact be even more stupid than I thought they could be. I weep. I weep for the children. I weep for the children. I weep for the children. Alright. How do I want to run this squad? I've already got an anti-force. We've got ice, force, light, lightning, which is elect. We've got fire, ice, elect, and a form of Zon through Wing Buffet. We've got 1 debuff plus magic debuff and speed debuff, plus the ability to repel ice, and null fizz light dark, with an open spread weakness against others. A strength against elect, but no reflections. Null mine for the time being. No force, but weak to curse. Repelling light, but weak to ice and dark. Draining ice and nulling dark, but weak to elect. And draining fire, but weak to ice. Tengu's rotates out. Jack-o'-lantern goes in. What the ultimate problem is that this is only covering one element for him to be protected by. Because if they shotgun fire, then Jack-o'-lantern absorbs fire for the multi. And this is fire, multi-fire, light, and nerve. But I don't have a tool for elect absorption. So I need a tool for elect absorption. I made Fornia so I'd have access to Riverama.
Welcome to the Cathedral of Shadows, where demons gather.
That's not gonna work. You're way out of my league. That's another drain fire with a form of allow. No. Absolutely not.
All right.
I don't want to have to keep looking at the fusion calculator to do this fucking equation. But that's my most direct answer. Charlie missed the best heart. There's a point where he offers work for Reddit. Do you have that part in hand, Tusky? No, but I can get it. I'll wait. I want a demon that can reflect elect. Reflect, absorb, repel. That is within the range. That is accessible and doesn't have a lot of non-force covers. The basic winner appears to be Raiju for absorption. For repelling, Sakimitakata would be another. Nulling is out of the question. I need a slime, a Babcot, or a Bicorn, and a Quans, or a Chronozon, and a Nekomata. I doubt I can get a Chatter Skull. Something simple. None of these are simple, though. So I don't think I have access to any of the demons to do this fusion. And then Takimune Kanata, Lelum, and a Shikigami. We can definitely do that. First I need a Shikigami. That's not a Shikigami. That's a Batsube. There we are. Get in my party. First part done. To Ginza. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now the hard part is just getting a Lilum fight. Shatter Skull. Lightning Curse. Damn it, I didn't take off my auto attack. Fuck me. Ugh. Gosh darn it. Clipping now, spell starts around 15:30. DM'd directly to me.
Gives to moderators. So let's circle back. Let's go back to the Reddit partnership program from the start. I took advantage of every opportunity that I could. I had meetings with kind of the Reddit community managers. I begged them for help and kind of partnership opportunities at every chance that I could. And I was blown off every single time. I got nothing out of it. The community managers never helped me. As, you know, nice as the guy was, I think he had basically no power to help me. I was one of the only moderators out there who tried to grow my community, who had any ambition, who tried to work with the company or help other subreddits or help the kind of the company that whole, and it didn't matter. I failed, and it failed because of how mismanaged and how little support Reddit, the company, gives to moderators. So let's circle back. Let's go back to the moderation situation. This is a very key important point, so please pay attention. None of this would have happened if I had gotten support from Reddit. Do you think that I want to be the guy like going out, like messaging random people in Discords and LinkedIn's and trying to figure out kind of these partnerships? I don't. This is not my job. I am not qualified to do any of this. I am not a lawyer. I cannot read contracts to know what I should do or I should not do. I just want to grow my subreddit, have a big vision, and I don't want to deal with it. At the end of the day, I'm a random nobody who got lucky. I took over one of your largest gaming subreddits on the platform because I won a stupid game of Reddit mod politics. But apparently, I'm the only person out there who understands the potential that Reddit has. If Reddit had offered me partnerships, if Reddit had pipelines to connect with kind of major companies, if Reddit had lawyers that were helping me reading over these contracts, reading over these agreements, none of these very real mistakes that I made would have happened. And before you say it, I'm sure there's some employee at Reddit, the company, that says oh yeah, we do that. That's my job. It's over here. Well, clearly you're not even doing 1% of what you should be doing, because nobody uses these resources, nobody cares, you are not doing enough. Multiply it by 100 and then let's talk. Reddit needs to be professionalized, and it starts with the mods. This is gonna be controversial, but the people who are running your multi-billion-dollar website are unqualified nobodies like me. That doesn't mean it's my fault or their fault. It's your fault, Spez. Here's why.
No, it's your fault because you're the person that you are.
The controversial solution is just get rid of the bad mods with better mods or paid mods, or do takeovers or more rules or something like that. But there are better solutions. You can train them. You can give mods infrastructure or pipelines or resources or real kind of material support and treat them as if they have the actual power and influence that they actually have, and so communities can rise to the heights that they truly could. And the Reddit Moderator Partner Program is not it. Reddit moderators do not need one call with like one guy a month, as nice as he is, love you Pablo, who has no power and no ability to affect anything. Reddit moderators don't need Christmas celebrations or special badges or community or events or team building exercises. No, even the Reddit event budget is barely useful. No, they need real material support. That means access to anything that like a talent manager would give an actual celebrity. So an access to.
But why would a talent manager that markets and works with multi-million media dollar influencers work with you and the fucking subreddit out of the fucking kindness of their heart?
A bounty board or ad deals or lawyers or.
So you just wanted to reinvent the Twitch rival system, is what you're saying. You wanted to reinvent Twitch rivals for the platform and jack it directly into LSF so that people didn't have a choice but to go to LSF, thus entrenching yourself in more power. Okay, got it.
Or event organizers or professionals or anything that actually matters. To summarize, Reddit moderators should be treated like celebrities or influencers, not because they deserve respect or anything, but because they actually have real power and influence. I mean, if not for the world, at least over your $50 billion company, maybe if you gave them actual support, it could go from 50 billion to 100 billion. I mean, it certainly deserves to be that high up for how much traffic Reddit gets. So why haven't you solved this problem already, Spez? Is it because you're out of touch and you aren't aware of the problem? Is it because Reddit is a bloated mess and they can't ship products? No, I think the real issue is that Reddit is held hostage by the negativity and toxicity of its user base, and it doesn't really have the freedom to make bold and important and transformative decisions that could save the company. If you agree with anything that I said, Spez, well, you're in luck. I live in San Francisco, and I would be happy to talk to you in person or any Reddit product manager or employee at all, or on a call or something. That's my pitch to you, Spez. The rest is to the community. To the community, Spez and Reddit, they're almost certainly not gonna fix any of this. All of this is up to us to solve. For anyone who this message has resonated with and wants to solve this problem, well, I have created a subreddit called r/SubAlliance. SubAlliance will be a non-profit, volunteer, community-based initiative to solve all of the problems that I have laid out. We will create tools and resources so good, so useful, that everybody will have to work with us. Think.
But what if I just say fuck you and you're not allowed to? What then, bro? What then?
Talent agency, but for subreddits. You have the big ideas, you have the vision, you have the crazy cool things that you want to do, and we handle the logistics. Materially, that means connections to major companies, partnerships, doing AMAs, running events, doing mod recruitment, cross-collaboration with other relevant subreddits, that kind of stuff. Go to r/SubAlliance, and we will make it happen. The link will be in the description below. Reddit used to be a place where we did stuff. The phrase, "we did it Reddit," although used sarcastically, existed for a reason. And that is because what we do, right or wrong, matters. Let's see what we can do to make it better. Thanks.
So, give me money I'm going to turn it into positive profit. All you have to do is sit back and watch the money roll in. But damn it, why aren't you listening to me? I'm God, goddammit. I can make and break your universe. Is that about it? Gay. I don't know if it's because of exhaustion or it's because of my fucking mind trying to circle this treadmill that this shit's on, or the male pattern of but oh my god. Oh my god. That is the stupidest thing I've heard in about 4 to 5 months. He deserves every bit of shame. Could a nigga get a Lilium low? Doomed to constantly get hopwa. Okay. That's that process done. The time is currently 2:37. I'm probably going to take a nap for an hour and a half. And the PIP'd will start at 4 p.m. Ow, my knees. Ow, my knees. Ow, my knees. I will see you all then. And I'll see more of you later on after the event, later throughout the week as well. My butt hurts. I've spent so much time sitting in the chair editing and so much time sitting in the chair doing research that I need to find a butt cushion again. The normal pillows I was sitting on before is not cutting it. It's also an alternative that is possible that I may have a medical formation called a fistula. More about that when I actually go see a doctor. But goodbye everyone for now. I will read you in the funny papers.